What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. So I'm doing like a 5-part sew-in closure tutorial. 5 parts. It's gonna be 5 different videos on this exact same hairstyle, but it's gonna be super detailed for all of those people that are looking for super detailed videos. Okay, right here, it's a free part closure. This is called a free part closure with medium brown lace. Okay, it is 14-inch closure. It is in the texture body wave. Okay, so I'm going to use that for her today. I love free part closures because I don't like a definite part, especially if you want to use it one time for a middle part, one time for a side part. If you have that one part closure, a lot of times it don't look natural, especially sometimes I like to do curve parts. So if you get a one part closure, they usually are very, very straight and they only work for middle parts. You can get that, but I feel like I just like the diversity of a free part closure because you get to glue it on and it be parted anywhere, or you get to sew it on and part it anywhere. You get what I'm saying? So free part closures is the way to go. That is just my opinion, okay? So I did use the Ruby Kisses palette. It's the cream contour palette. I'm picking one of the darker colors because she's dark skinned, and that is what I'm going to use to apply under her lace. Okay, that is going to allow it to melt into her skin a lot better. Without it, it's just kind of look a little off. So like I said, it just makes it look better. So I like to just apply the closure. The closure is a little wet because I did bleach the knot. So I use quick blue bleach with 30 developer, making it to like a creamy paste. Apply it on, leave it on for 25 minutes, rinse it out, apply purple shampoo, and then rinse it out after 5 minutes, and then I'm ready to apply. Make sure you're not applying the cream contour when the closure lace is still wet. You're going to kind of want to dry it a little bit and then apply the contour color. So what I like to do is you're going to want to place your closure to where you want it to be. Okay, so recommendations when it comes to that, have your client hold each side of the closure so that way you can get a definite space of where you want to go. Now you can't just pop the closure out and then just kind of find the part as you go, but to me that is a lot harder, and it's a lot harder to find how to keep the closure flat. You get what I'm saying? When you're sewing in, you're going to want to know where the definite part is going to be to help you know how to sew it down without any bunches. If you don't know how to do closures, or if you tried, you realize that sometimes the closure will fold if you do not sew it down flat enough. Given this part, you're able to put your finger where the part is, so that way you're able to pull tightly in the certain spots, so that way it can lie very flush to her scalp, okay? But like I said, I'm just going to go back and forth. You're just going to see me going back and forth, finding the part, finding how I want the part and everything like that. I tend to follow the part that I already made into their head. I usually don't do a straight part. I do it with a little curve because I feel like it looks way more natural, okay? Also, let's say, okay, she has a right side part, right? So she has a right side part. So the closure is going on the right side of the closure is going to be a little less space than on the left side of the closure. I'm going to have more space where the bang area on the left side is going to be. Where the part is on the right side, I'm going to make sure that, you know, that her part is literally on the right side of the closure and not just like in the middle. You get what I'm saying? Like her part is on the right side of that free part closure. Okay, I hope that explained it well. But yeah, so you're just gonna, like I said, you're gonna figure out where you want your part. Once you get everything good and you know where you want it to go, you're gonna make sure that the closure is at least like 1 inch or a half an inch in front of her hairline, okay? Because you're not gonna want her hair to show underneath. So once you do that, now I personally like to braid the hair out the way. I feel like it just allows me to see where to sew better. I'm sure you guys probably understand what I mean. Like you're able to see underneath the closure where you need to sew. If the hair is in the way, it's harder to see. So I like to just do 2 little braids, put 2 little rubber bands on the end just to make sure everything is out the way, okay? As I line everything up and I'm ready to start sewing in a minute, I do cut the lace off. To me, that just makes sure that I don't have any extra lace that needs to be laid or any extra lace that I do not need. It just makes it easier for me. You can do it or not. It's just easier for me just to cut the lace off before I apply it. This is no glue, guys, okay? You're going to see me apply something on her edges. Now, when it comes to that, you can literally either do edge control or you can do some type of, you know, spray to kind of lay her edges back. I use Got To Be Glue gel because it's just a better hold. But I wait and make sure that the gel is completely dry. I do not apply the closure when the gel is tacky because I'm not using gel for that purpose. I'm not using any adhesive to lay the closure down. Okay, y'all, I promise there's a method to my madness. So once I figure out the part and everything is ready to go, I place the hand that I'm not sewing down with, I place that on the part just to keep that flat and where I want it to be. And then I start sewing the corner of the closure in the front, okay? I like to sew on the side where the part is on because it just, that needs to be more precise than the other side. The other side has a little bit more wiggle room, but when it comes to the parting, the side where the part is, that needs to be pretty precise. So I like to start on there and just kind of maneuver when it comes to that. And then I like to switch on the other side. Now I'm going to sew the corner down of the closure. Sew it an inch in front of the hairline or a half an inch in front of the hairline. And then after I sew the corner down really, really good and have that secure where the front braid is at as well, I then like to part where the front braid is at horizontally. And then I like to sew in front. That is going to keep the closure to the front. That's going to keep the closure laid down. That's going to keep the closure where it needs to be. After that, I'm going to switch to the other side and do the same process. Sew the corner down on the first braid, then part in the front, and then part and sew where that first braid is, so that way the front of the closure is flat. I don't know if I mentioned, but whenever you do sew the front braid down where the front of the closure is, I sew up towards the part, and then I stop before I get to the part, and then I sew back down towards the corner of the closure again, and then I start to sew backwards, like sew on the sides of the closure towards the back of the closure. And I do that on both sides. So do not start sewing to the back of the closure until you have the corners stitched out and the front stitched down. That is a major key. After I'm done sewing on the both sides of the closure, then I'm going to proceed to sew in the back. And then I'm just going to literally just like sew on top of the sew that I already did a couple times just to secure the closure. So as you can see, I'm just going back and forth for a couple times just to make sure that the closure is sewed all the way down. This is how it looks when all the tracks are sewn on and close the closure in. You shouldn't see any gaps or any braids underneath. And y'all, this is basically how it looks whenever everything is kind of flattened out. I do use the wax sticks and I use a hot comb, and then that's how I use to flatten the closure out really, really, really well. If it's curly hair, I just use mousse and a blow dryer, and that's how I flatten the closure out. But yes, guys, so I usually just use on the highest setting. I have the hot comb that gets really hot to like 450, so I use that, and then I use a wax stick. I literally will part through the closure, use the wax sticks and hot comb on that part. Make sure you're very, very careful because you don't want to burn your client, even though there's like a cloth, you know, in between the scalp and the client. You still want to make sure that you're careful, okay? So that is basically it. Part 2 will basically show you how to curl with the flat iron. Part 3 will show you how to close the space behind the closures. And part 4 will show you how to sew the tracks and to prevent slipping. And that way you don't have any, you know, tracks that end up being loose, or tracks that have to be restitched or retightened. I don't ever do retightens because I don't need to. But yes, guys, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Right here, I meant to tell you guys, I do part the closure. Like I do, not part it. Look at me talking about I do part the closure. I do tweeze the closures part to make sure it's a little bit wider, Look at me, I can't even talk today. But you want to make sure that it's wider than, you know, what it originally comes. It just look a little bit more natural. And also, if like the color is a little off, I will like get some concealer or something, and I'll just apply a little bit on the back of my hand, something more towards the color of the client, and then I'll use like a skinny brush, and I'll kind of just go inside the parts and kind of clean it up a little bit, you know, just to make it a little bit more natural, more precise, and you know how that goes. But yes, guys, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and look out for parts 2, 3, and 4, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video. I hope this was detailed enough for those who don't know how to do a closure. I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye, guys. Mwah.